So, all right, it's going to be a really, really good show. So, without further delay, let's bring in Robin here.
Hey, my brother.
Hey,
Shalom.
goodness. Shalom. I can only see half of your hand, so it looks like you're doing it.
Let's see, Angel. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
Shalom.
Hey, Robin, I don't know if you know this because we did it 2 times when you were not on the show, but we have now informed the people that you're entering a different season so that you won't be able to do the Monday program anymore. So we have told them that, but that you'll be able to come on from time to time. We're not
Oh,
mad at
yeah.
each other. We're not fighting.
No. No, not at all. Yeah, that's just a weekly thing. The Lord had instructed me, but now that don't mean that I won't come on. It's just every single Monday,
Yeah. Yeah.
And but man, I'm going to tell you, I love the people, and I love the Elijah Stream crew and all of you guys. Everybody just needs to know that we are really good friends. We're
That's
not.
right. I think we started getting feedback when I waited till I was well before we did the show, rather
Right.
than have a sub, and so people thought, well, Robin's not on, Steve's not on, they must be fighting or something. So
No.
and
No,
I mean, if the Lord wills, one day we'll make movies together because we talked about that. Who knows?
Oh,
what
yeah.
God will open up for us. So
And who knows if he might not want this done again weekly, but right now, it was like he had spoken to me. He said, 40 episodes
right,
of the intelligence briefings, and then he wants people to just kind of assimilate that for a while.
good.
And then, I mean, you can sense things in your spirit. Things are
Yeah.
changing. We need to kind of change with them because he's going to up everything. He's going to up this program,
Yeah.
up what we're doing and what we're doing together. It's going to be
That's
great.
awesome. Well, at first, I was very disappointed, but then you realize, no, these are seasons. We move in and out of seasons,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're you and I are in this for the long haul. There's
We
just
are,
different
brother.
scheduling, and all that. And for anyone who didn't get the announcement, after that's done, after the 40 episodes, we have a few more to go, a couple more to go, and then we're inserting Johnny Enlow. We're calling it Johnny Enlow Unfiltered. And with him, we actually have to do it on Rumble only. We have no
Yeah.
choice because we're going to let him just blast it out and say exactly. He's kind of on fire right now himself. I put in my head, it's you and Johnny are my go-to prophets as far as what is going on. And I looked at you guys both a lot. So
Johnny's awesome, man. He's awesome.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Robin, you have a lot of stuff. Now,
Yep.
remind people that we're going to talk in code here. You're going to talk in code
Right.
here and there.
Right.
We almost took this to Rumble only so you could show some videos, but we decided or you actually requested that we
right.
talk in code instead. So we do have a couple videos that we can show, of course.
Oh, yeah. And I sent you a prophetic word that came out Sunday. I gave it Sunday. The Lord had told me this, but when I got up on the platform, I began to play. I play prophetically in music and as a psalmist and all, and I began to play this sound, and I kept looking for this sound, and when I hit this sound in music, then all of a sudden this message came.
Wow.
And so I'm not playing on this video, but this is the message that came forth. So if you'd like to show it, we could start.
Yeah.
with
So
that.
so is this the very first video you sent overnight to me, right? And that's
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll run those two pieces back to back or right next to each other. So whoever's could be familiar with 422, Mark 422. But you have your Bible there? Do you want to read that?
Sure.
Mark 422.
Yeah.
Is
Let
it
me turn
Luke
over
or
here too.
is it Mark or Luke? No, I forgot.
Mark 4:22. Yeah, let me get there to it. I had it queued up to another scripture.
Well, and you can paraphrase it too, either way.
Yeah. It just says, well, I could paraphrase it. I know.
Yeah, go ahead. I ended up looking it up last night too, and then I forgot to bring my Bible right here.
Yeah, there's nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad.
So praying for it is just praying for everything that's secret
to become to the light, to fight in the light. You heard that as that song went on, to fight in the light, because evil forces are afraid of light. They can't fight in the light. It exposes too much. And I don't know if everybody really paid attention. Maybe they can go back and watch this later and really pay attention to the way that prophecy came out, because it wasn't planned. It just began to happen. And, I had some of these things on my mind, but then all at once we hit this sound. And then I just stopped playing and started telling this whole prophecy. And things are not what they seem, brother. And people are looking at, well, let me see if I can say this. I was writing this down this morning, and the Lord said this, and it's in Proverbs 26:17. He brought this to my mind, and I'm trying not to look away from the camera here, but
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It says, he that passeth by and meddleth with strife, belonging not to him. And this was the line he wanted me to look at. Is like one that takes a dog by the ears.
Whoa.
It's like one that taketh a dog by the ears. You take a dog by the ears, you're in trouble. I mean, you're in trouble if you take him by the ears, and you're in more danger if you turn him loose. Because a dog will absolutely take you down if you catch him by the ears and start pulling. And so the Bible says, don't take a dog by the ears. And so then he gave me this word, Steve. He said, people have built their whole life. Now he's talking about these people that are perpetrating all this right now. He said they've built their whole life on a lie. They are people who have taken a dog by the ears. They cannot turn loose of this thing. They know that if they turn loose of the dog, that this dog is capable of tearing them up. What you're looking at right now is a plot, a scheme. And the precious people are in the balance. The Ukrainian people are some of the most precious people in the world. They are people. You need to remember that. People should remember this. I'm trying to read my own writing here. It all depends on the end they have in their mind. A lot of people can be their scapegoat. There are many ways people do this. I think all those masses and masses of people over rice. It was hated. And reality diluted. This is the first generation in history out to be removed. And then a lie can be started to remove them. There's a global agenda. It's laid kind of dormant in the back of people's mind and secret societies' minds as they have played with the occult and brought forth spirits to assist. But the church was strong in the early days, and it had not conformed to the world yet. But now if the government says lay down your arms to the church, they just comply.
Man.
Here's the thing. But reality, how do I say it? But reality here, I'm trying to read this, but reality here has to be brought in from somewhere to convince the world population and get their agenda done. Now, see, it's no different than just stopping. I'm going to talk in a little code here, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, but realize that things can work. The other day I was going to walk my little dogs, and I was going to get them out and walk them. And I was going to text somebody, and I had it open, but I never punched anything in, any message. And then all of a sudden my dogs started barking. They just went wild barking. One of them wants to be walked before the other one's walked, and and so forth. Yeah. And so they're barking and barking. And when I get outside with one of them, I pick up my phone and I think, well, while I'm walking him, I'll just finish the text. And there's a meme of a dog happy jumping up and down barking. Now, I never punched that in. I never asked the phone to find it. It just heard the barking.
Oh, man.
And so, and you can talk about things sometimes and it shows up on your phone. It's an algorithm. It stalks people. Now, so I'll talk in code. What happens is it could get. And then but several years ago, people, if we start putting puzzle pieces together, about 10, 20 years ago, you came from. And people got all intrigued, and they were sending in, everybody spitting in a cup, sending in something, to find out.
I did it.
Find out
Sorry.
where they came from. And thousands upon thousands of people started doing this. And then relatives started finding people they didn't know. And then the next thing you know, and they solved cases, cold cases, and it all came from people spitting in a cup, sending that in. Well, then the next samples, we'll find out if anything's going, so people started, they started beefing it up again, sending it in. Everybody spitting in a cup. You could have probably floated a ship in all the spit people sent in, And so they're just sending it in. And then all at once, this thing hit, this certain thing, this certain thing that led to that. It started to hit. And when it started to hit, you can't help but wonder, picture somebody looking at statistics. Well, we know it's worth it for the agenda. And the next thing you know, this thing was perpetrated, and it went upon the people. And it did exactly what the gamble said it would probably do. And people say, well, you don't have any proof of that. Maybe not, but you don't have any proof otherwise either.
Yeah, that's true.
And, and so it's amazing how it happened that way. So people gambled on people's lives. And to make a hoax a reality, there has to be a certain reality brought into it. Absolutely believable. And so you're in the only generation that could ever. The other day on Fox News, I think it was, they asked a question. Now, this is Fox News, so if they're going to cut somebody off for saying this, cut them off. They'd probably do yourself a favor. And so but this is what they said. They said, why is the president speaking from a fake White House set? Why? Now, they asked the question.
They actually said it on Fox?
Yes, they did.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
I've been waiting for somebody to ask that question.
They said, why is he doing it? And they had some wild story about him, a teleprompter not being seen in the window behind him, so they had to do it fake. And
forget all the other presidents that were just fine with it.
But see, now they asked this, Steve. They asked, why is he doing this? Well, nobody answered it except for that. And then they start, people start looking at all this stuff. And remember, he went out to give an interview, and the next thing you know, he reached out and did his hand like this, and it went right through the microphone. And
it did?
It just passed through a mic and all this kind of stuff. And you could, I think one of them, now I'd have to check on it, but it seemed like one of them you could hear a chopper running, but when you saw the chopper, the blades wasn't spinning. And,
one of them, I do remember one of them, you heard a jet flying over, but you can't fly a jet over the White House. That's illegal.
No, and then you saw who they call the prez and the vice prez getting off of one aircraft. I think that don't happen either. They don't allow them to be on the same one. And so you see all these things. See, we live in the first generation that can perpetrate everything. Now I want to say something very serious right here. All this has been serious. But I want you to think about something. Just suppose for a moment, and the Lord spoke this to me, just suppose for a moment that somebody wants certain world leaders, world turning against Putin. And just suppose, even though people say, well, he's wicked, well, if somebody perpetrated what I'm saying they did, or I think they did, that I'm hearing in my spirit, they're more wicked than anybody that's ever walked around. And think about it, they're the only, if you wanted a world leader removed, what would you do? You create a crisis and turn the entire world against them.
That's right. Yeah.
I can't say a lot right now.
Yeah, I know, and I'm grasping at what to say, what not to say, as well.
Right.
But again, I just say this: there's a certain leader in that country that begins with the U that we talked about, who owns a multi-million-dollar house. I think it's Miami Beach. You're going, wait a minute. I thought he was a humble actor that just happened on the scene. How come he owns a multi-million-dollar house in Florida? So
Yes.
anyway,
Yes, and it's amazing, you know. I think. Well, let me go ahead and read this. This is what the Lord gave me. He gave me 39 questions that people should ask themselves. This is what He told me.
okay.
He said, "We're facing at this time the greatest threats to freedom." Now, I wrote this down. We've ever seen in the history of man. It's greater than the days of Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, or any of the others. Because the Hitlers we are seeing today are accepted by the whole world. The greatest deception of the ages is happening right now. I want you to ask yourself some questions. And the Lord said to do this. Okay. There was over $1 billion in various currencies put on a pallet and landed in Iran a while back. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
at
yeah.
one point something billion in cash, and I think 150 billion promised. Something like that. So we have to ask yourself this: why? And then here's two. I'm just going to read the questions. Why would Iran be given this? Who said they would be up for a third term as president if they could sit like in a basement or something and put an earpiece in someone's ear and do it through them?
You said that.
You have to ask yourself, who said that? Okay, who is the only president to stay in D.C. after he was no longer the president?
Interesting.
What president bowed to a Saudi king?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the only president to organize over 250 community organizing groups since 2010? How does someone sit in a basement with a face covering, run for president of the U.S., that could draw maybe 250 people to a parking lot, defeat? You need to find out who said that.
I'm trying to. That was his name starts with an F. I'm trying to decide if I should even say the word.
Well, to start with, the same one who did these other things said that in 2014. In 2000,
he prophesied, if you could use that term. He wasn't calling it a prophecy. He prophesied in his. How can you prophesy that?
Yeah.
Unless you know something that other people don't know.
That's right. And then in 15, Gates said the same thing. In 17, Fauci said the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have to ask yourself, who said that? And how does a vice federal money if they don't fire a certain person and it be on video?
And he even told the people on camera that it was $1 billion. That was $1 billion bribe. Sorry.
Yeah, because his son had financial interest in that company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how does a man with clear mental issues and who is the most unpopular politician we know become president of the United States? How then in the middle of the night get caught pulling hidden ones out from under a table and adding them to the tally? How does that happen and nobody go to jail? Why did things like this only happen in swing states?
Yeah.
Why wasn't of cash given to the Taliban? Why would Vladimir Putin put his whole nation at risk of being alienated by the rest of the world? And why are there photos of people in the Ukraine? You know, we could even say this, and there's various explanations, but they're carrying cardboard rifles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now they say they're training, or wooden rifles. They say they're training them with wooden rifles. Okay. Well, okay, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But you got to ask yourself, why would these photos be released? Why would someone as communist and corrupt as George Soros stand with the Ukraine against Putin?
Yeah, that's a huge question right there.
Sure.
Wow.
Why did a planned what's on this? Yeah, why would a planned thing that led to that? Why would that lead to bribing, forcing people to take that? What could getting rid of DJ, Benjamin, and turning the world against Putin have in common? And who could it benefit? Why is the giant Hadron Collider in Switzerland built on the cover of Newsweek as Shiva? Can we show that?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look
Now
at that.
there's the Hindu false god Shiva, which is the god of destruction. And it's placed outside CERN where the giant Hadron Collider is Newsweek.
That's not accidental. That's an intentional pose, and
Sure.
intentional both the pose and all the rest of it that they did. They're
That's right.
clearly. I mean, I don't even know fully their point of why they decided to put this god, except you said it's a god of destruction. There he is.
Well, what
taking
about
the same
this?
pose?
That's right. Why does the same image of Shiva, why is it at the head of the table, the conference table, when China met with the World Health Organization, I forget what year this was. Why was that? Look at the head of that table. Why is that sitting there at the World Health Organization?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to ask these questions to themselves. Steve, if there's a one world government trying to be brought into being, does it not stand to reason that it would begin to be brought in by all the world governments?
Yeah.
If it's a one world government, then does it not stand to reason that a world government would start participating together? And that thing at the head of that table is proof of what's going on. And if that's there, and that's outside of that collider, and ask themselves a question. What do they know? Who knows it? And if they don't know anything about it, this is the most gigantic, humongous coincidence anybody's ever seen in their life.
Right.
Which there's no such thing as a coincidence. But if there was one, this ain't it. So we'll be the anointed one. Why did CERN hold a dramatization in front of a sex orgy and that dramatized breaking through a wall and bringing a goat man from the other side of it? Why would they do this? While they have the god of Shiva outside their door, and the god Shiva shows up at the World Health Organization meeting with China about something else entirely that has nothing to do with health issues, and yet
Man.
And China was the one that has perpetrated something that led to that. People need to ask themselves a question. Could I be seeing everything the way it's really happening, or could I be in a movie set bringing in real people to suffer to add the touch of reality? I want you to think about something. What's the biggest shows on television right now, and has been for years? Reality programs.
Yeah.
Now, watch this. Why did Hillary Clinton, when she was First Lady, call in two of the most powerful witches in the world to the White House? Why did they hold a seance? And why did she channel the spirit of Eleanor Roosevelt? Why was there a human sacrifice acted by people in robes at the CERN facility? Why was the temple of Baal destroyed by ISIS, but the arch of the temple spared? All by a bunch of thugs in the back of Toyotas with machine guns. Why did that happen? They didn't have the technology to do that. Why was truck drivers? I was talking to a truck driver I know very, very well during that time. He said, we were hauling brand new Toyota pickups to the southern border, and ISIS was coming and picking them up and carrying them from the southern border to wherever they were going. And he
southern
said,
border of, excuse me, southern border.
like at Mexico.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and he said the next thing we knew, we'd look on television and they'd be in those trucks riding down the streets. Who ordered that?
Yeah, and who paid the bill knowing where, who shipped it knowing where it was going?
And all the drivers did was just did what the companies told them to. They carried trucks to the border. They don't know what's going on.
Okay, I see, yeah.
And so then you have to ask yourself this. Why was the Arch of Baal 3D printed and showed up in Central Park when Hillary Clinton was running for president? Why was the Arch of Baal placed in the park across the street from the judicial building when Brett Kavanaugh was being confirmed? Why did Boris Johnson dedicate an Arch of Baal in London? Why did the president of Italy dedicate one as well? Why was there plans to 3D print 1,000 of them? That's question 39.
There's that one. Is this that one's?
Yeah, that's when Brett Kavanaugh was being grilled and in that circus. Why would you bring that and aim it at the Capitol? Why would all of this happen? You know, thinking people must begin to ask themselves these questions. If you find the thread that connects all these things, you will start to find your answer.
Wow.
And that's what the Lord said to read today. These 39 questions.
Wow.
So here we have, Steve, I mean, really, aren't these legitimate questions?
Yeah, and I had one. I thought you might end up reading it, but it's a how. It's more about all years are wise, but there's a how question. Like, how does a man purported to be president stand up before millions of people on many of the networks at the same time, stumble and flub him all the way through his, not even be able to make clear sentences, call Afghanistan, Iran, and at the end they said in his mic, he heard him say, "Go get him," because they meant go get the B guy out of there. And so in his speech he says, go get him. He repeated a command where they were trying to tell people, go get him. And he was clearly not mentally capable to do what he's been called to do. And my question is, how do they leave him there without declaring the 25th Amendment, saying this guy's not stable?
You know, back in the second one, I had a man came and talked to me. I met him up in the mountains, and he came and talked to me, and he said, you know, I had this dream. And he began to tell me this prophetic dream, how he saw Air Force One upside down, flying into a stream in the middle of the woods upside down. And he began to tell me about this dream, and I knew it was prophetic listening to the details of it. And the Lord told me, he said, this is the interpretation to this dream. He said, they don't plan on it will be turned upside down and done away with. They never plan on there being another president. They're moving, Steve. When you answer all these questions right here that I just read, these are just 39. You know how many questions you could spin off of that right there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But after you answer all of those, then you have to ask yourself, something globally is happening. Something globally is trying to be pushed into being. And if you don't think that the nations are involved in it, if people don't think that, then how come world leaders are on the scene and they're all biting into the same lie? They know it's a lie. They can't be that stupid. They just can't be. They can't be that stupid.
No.
But they lassoed the church for the most part and tied it down. And the church had no more backbone. So there was no more black coat regiment like in the days of the colonial times. There was no, what people don't realize is that everything in the Constitution, in the Declaration of Independence that this nation put out had been preached in the pulpit prior to the Declaration, prior to 1763. Everything in it had been preached by ministers from the pulpit. So all they did is take the sermons topics of the day and wrote the Declaration of Independence. But see, the church was lassoed. That's why it had to be caught first, because its voice prevails in times of crisis. So they dumbed the church down. A lot of the church got in debt to the banking systems of the world, and they can't make a move without a bank tells them they can. And if the government says close the door, they close the door. If they say put a face covering on, they put it on. Whatever it happens, this is what a majority of the large churches did. See, instead of standing up and just saying, I don't care about your money. Your money didn't call me to preach. Your money ain't going to be there. You know, it's just like the guy said, he said, how much did he leave? And another guy looked at him and said, he left it all. He left every bit of it. People are about to go down in history as traitors, succumbers, are people who stood to the end. Now, this is where we are. We have to start asking ourselves these questions. There is nobody on this planet honestly believes that that jackal in the White House right now, if he's even in the White House, stands up in front of a camera that someone else in his ear is not telling him what to say. There's nobody believes that that's not real. They know he's not making decisions. And if he's not making decisions, and it's one crisis after another. And I saw a memo the other day where they had posted, and I don't know, I hadn't verified all of it, the sources of it, but it came from the White House, a stationery, and it said on there that we have need that this thing, I'm looking at the camera, that this thing continue through March 1st of 2022. We have a real need that it do this. And they showed all this stuff, and then it was signed by the jackal up here. But at the top of it, it said White House, President Barack. The woman who speaks for the jackal, she said this. You know, she said, every day, it's such a privilege, every day I get to speak to.
She said it like that?
Yeah. I wish we had that clip. Jeff could show that. She actually said that. She said, I speak to it. So she sees somebody every day.
Yeah.
You have to find the thread that runs through all of this. And you're going to realize a global something that's being put together right now. It's being put together.
Can I ask you this, Robin?
Sure.
Maybe you've noticed the same thing, or is it just me? But why?
That Sun Tzu, you know, you've heard me talk about that in the 4 stages: demoralization, destabilization. The 3rd stage is crisis. They have to throw, but see, they're not just after one nation anymore. They have to throw the world into a crisis mode in order to bring about one world government. They want one world government, and they want all these nations to be inside this one global thing. And they are real globalists, and they're really doing this. And what people are missing it on is they don't understand that there's real spirituality connected to it. These are real spirits they're dealing with. And
Yeah, can I just, to be clear, so that no one's guessing what you're saying, but we can still talk in code. What you're saying is the spirits are not the spirits of God that they're dealing with.
That's right.
That's what you're saying.
That's exactly
and that they
right.
literally, some of these higher ups are literally on purpose communicating with spirits that are not God's spirit.
Okay, if people need to ask themselves this, they say, "Oh, Brother Robin, you know, you're a conspiracy guy, man. You know what? I can't stand conspiracy. I mean, you know, did you know that all of a sudden it shows up? Did you know that this politician was executed at Gitmo? Well, that's bull. They were on television the next morning, but it starts to make people like you and I. They're trying to make us look like fools." And so these things, this is not what I'm talking about. If what I'm saying is not true, answer those questions. Somebody answer those questions. Now, there has to be an answer to them somewhere. Or why did they happen? And then if it's not dealing with spirits, Steve, why was the temple of, why was the Hadron Collider built over the temple of Apollo? Why is the god of destruction, Shiva, outside the door on the property? Why is it at the head of the table at the World Health Organization? Why is it he was called the Messiah? Why is it now that there's another push into the Ukraine when it's obvious the jackal that's there now had ties, financial ties inside it? Why? See, if it's not true, then why? Why is the Arch of Baal placed in front of the Capitol when Brett Kavanaugh was going through that circus? Why was the Arch of Baal placed in New York Central Park when he was dedicated by Boris Johnson? Why was it dedicated by the president of Italy? Why were they 3D printing 1,000 of them to put them around the world? Why? Why? That's a pagan world. All of this is not related. Then somebody answer the question.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, so now we're looking at all of that. Well, the Bible talks about a political world leader that joins himself from the devil himself, that will join himself to a political world order.
Yeah.
So the spirit world.
Jeff gave me a text. He found that clip you were asking for. It's a 20-second clip where she mistakenly says,
In code to show that. Go ahead.
well, it won't be in code, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, it
you
is.
too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But a little bird told me that you said you might be resigning the job this year. Say it isn't so. Is it true?
I don't know when I'm leaving. This is an honor and a privilege, and I love spending time.
There you go.
Well, what about that?
Yeah.
It's just a slip of the tongue, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if she's really getting ready to retire, that means she's been there a long time, and it's right on the tip of her tongue to say that. It's not logical, is it?
And she sees him every day. And see, there was a clip. If we had time, we didn't plan all of this.
Yeah.
But if you had time, you could find it where they asked him, "Would you be up for a third term?" He said, "If I could sit like in a basement and and
I
put
heard
an
that one
earpiece in
myself. I was
somebody's
watching
ear,
that one.
So, if you look at that prophecy we showed at the first of this program, I heard and I heard it that morning, standing right there as I said it. And I heard how they're planning on this whole thing is being perpetrated to remove world leaders that they don't want in place. And it's not, I don't care what you think of the world leader. The thing is if they're removed, they can fill it with however they want.
Exactly.
See
that principle is absolutely universally true, that if you take who are the players, the media, the person, the resident of the White House, George Soros, all of those, and they all just happen to perfectly agree that the one evil person right now to be dealt with
is Putin.
What does that tell you? If those people are desperate, then how true is everything they're saying? That's the question. How true can you now, how much can you believe what they're saying?
I'm going to tell you something. If George Soros says anything he agrees with, is your first clue to look at the opposite direction. And just suppose the one guy that they're trying to remove from the stage, a man like that is a holdout against the beast. The beast, a leader like that could never run the world with world players like these on the scene, because they won't give up their nations. Now, just suppose this person saw through it. And that's what this is all about. They were drawn into something that they really, and think about this, we're talking about the third stage crisis. And now notice this, everything boom, this is the end of the world. This could be the end of the world. Could be the end of the world. The end of the world. And it's to put people in a mode. Well, it wasn't long ago, that was the end of the world. And now this annihilate everybody if we don't remove this political power and set him over here so we can put some other jackal up there that's 4 times as bad.
And if that new jackal doesn't have to have a brain to use either. All he has to do is take our orders. He'll do what we say. We don't care if he's got dementia or Alzheimer's. We'll put him there and make him do what we say.
Steve, and let me say this before, I know we're going to have to close here, but let me say this too, that the out of hand to lend a great reality to all of this. People, would they? Really? You really think that?
How about Herod?
Stalin, Mussolini, Hitler, just go on and on down, Paul Potts, go on down the line. You'll find them all the way back. Nero burned down Rome, blamed it on Christians to get what he wanted. It's just on and on and on it goes. And I'm not the only people that, these are world leaders, but the biggest thing that's suffering here is the people. And the people of the Ukraine are precious people, and and we have partners in the Ukraine. We have partners there. And the same type lie is being perpetrated. Just suppose it is a lie. Just suppose. And just suppose why the jackals, and it's only limited, he more or less said that would probably be acceptable. I mean, just think about all this stuff these people are saying. But it's the people that are paying the price for world domination. And if we don't realize it and look through it, I heard a conversation about the Ukraine, and I'm standing with our partners there. That hidden things will be brought to light.
Can I ask you a question about you? I don't know if you
Sure.
got that on the spot or if you had that before you said it, but I think you might have used the word group, but you said they will say we were hired. Was that a group or was that a couple people?
Man, I don't know. That came out of my mouth, and if you watch when I said that, Steve, when I said that, you can tell I didn't know I was going to say it. Because when it came out of my mouth, I remember backing up and I said, whoa.
Yeah.
Because I knew that didn't come from me. And so somebody has been hired. There's actors on the scene. There's all kinds of things going on. But the truth of the matter is people are really dying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. World leaders that are doing this kind of stuff are going to pay. God is going to, you think he's going to let them slide for that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no,
Mm-mm.
no. But it should just carry out a world agenda. But they will, and the Bible says they will.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And if people are, this right here, that thing, and what caused that thing, and that thing.
Yes, that was the point. I believe that was the point. Well, we'll just keep them there. No, that was the point.
Think about it. Don't you know that those poor people in those nursing homes were scared?
Of course.
Oh, they were scared when they started seeing these kind of patients moved in and fear hyped up to the roof, and they started putting those in there. Don't you know those precious elderly people? The people in the Ukraine, I see their little faces. I see faces. No matter what's going on right here, they're the ones suffering for it. And I see their little faces, and I see them. They're scared. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what to do. But when you can see people like that preacher that was dragged out of his car in Canada and dragged on his knees and thrown in a police car, a cop car, and kept 2 days inside on a concrete floor, you just think about that's in Canada, man. And then you wonder what a convoy started about. Why would anybody do that? Well, people have had enough.
Yeah.
They've had enough. Well, I heard your conversation in the Ukraine about concerning this Ukraine deal. And I'm going to tell you something. God will fight for his people there. And it's not the people of the Ukraine. And listen to me, and this is going to sound hard for people. It's not the people in Russia either. There are born-again, spirit-filled, tongue-talking people in Russia. The Russian people are precious.